The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Welcome to Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson.
Justin Spears, I like that.
With Justin Spears and Ali Farhang on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, ESPN Tucson. Brought to you by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
I want to be entertaining, but I'm not stupid enough to compare myself to Ali.
Damn you, journalism. Damn you. Welcome to Spears and Ali here on ESPN Tucson, 1490 AM, and the Spears and Ali podcast. Check us out on Apple and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment today. And also check us out on YouTube. Thanks to all of our listeners and supporters on YouTube. If you haven't yet, check us out there. Go to YouTube, look up Spears and Ali, and subscribe to our channel today. Damn you, journalism.
Does it bother you that journalism lost to sovereignty?
Of course.
It's a little bit of
the tale as old as time.
It's a deep cut at 7 o'clock in the morning where you could be like, reality emulates reality, I guess.
for real, dude.
It's like, because journalism is second to sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Right now. Now, the sovereignty that you're thinking of is really dependent on your perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, sovereignty winning the Kentucky Derby.
Only thing would be
Over the
better
weekend.
if sovereignty was either from Greenland or Canada. Or Ukraine, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have some fun today. For the next couple of hours, we're going to be talking a lot of some important stuff that happened over the weekend. If you want to join us, hit us up by calling in at 719-1490, 719-1490. We are presented by Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Tucson Federal Credit Union. Better than a bank, better than your bank. All right, we're going to also talk to Trip Harrington later on this hour at 7:40. Huge win for the Tucson Sugar Skulls over the weekend, doing it in come from behind fashion and winning 42-35. Now you hear that score and you think, oh, Sugar Skulls beat them by a ton, and they did, but they actually kicked a field goal late, went up by a point, and then at the final kickoff to end the game, the Rattlers were trying to do the lateral, pitch it back, and hopefully a guy can find a lane and go for the touchdown. And Sugar Skulls intercepted like the fourth lateral and then returned it for a touchdown to punctuate the win over the Arizona Rattlers. And man, what a game. Honestly, that was probably the best home game I've ever been to. The crowd was great. We'd love to see, a few more people in the stands, but you also had Arizona baseball going on too. I had Corbett Field that night, but man, the crowd was engaged. It was electric. And for that to be the result, I can guarantee a lot of those folks that were at that game are probably going to get tickets for this upcoming game against Massachusetts, because that was a great home crowd and great product and performance on the field by the Sugar Skulls.
I just thought it was an awesome day for the Tucson Sugar Skulls. I thought it was an awesome day for Tucson. I thought it was an awesome day for indoor football. And when you can beat your home state rival, now we've beat both of our home state rivals, Northern Arizona and the Phoenix Rattlers, aka Arizona Rattlers. And I just think, the future's bright. We can keep doing that. And the thing that I really enjoyed, maybe most of all, is the number of kids in the stands.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many kids there. It was awesome.
And they had a great time, and now they're going to be bugging their moms and dads. Hey, can you take me to the game?
What else are you going to do in the
coming
summer?
Up here?
What else are you going to do in the summer? It's got like a very cool air-conditioned environment.
Exactly.
So, although it gets kind of cold next to the field, that's where I sit. And they're taking the ice out. They're taking the ice out. You have to wear a jacket. I mean, like, you have to wear a sweatshirt or a jacket on the floor when the ice is still on.
Mm-hmm.
You see the Persian with the beanie. That's Ollie.
I just sit there and I watch the game. There's no beanie.
Nah, he just raw dogs it.
Yeah.
But man, what a game,
It was a great game. I still got to text Billy back, but
it was his birthday too.
It was his birthday.
He turned 46.
You didn't text Billy back?
I didn't text him first.
Oh.
He didn't text me, so there's nothing to go back forward. There's a famous Andrew Dice Clay little comedy bit about getting back, but I don't think it's appropriate for our audience this morning.
Especially in the first hour.
Yeah. Second hour, it's all on.
Fair game.
Yeah. I just thought it was an awesome game, man. The team played well. They got down 14-0. Rattlers scored a touchdown on the first play of the game on a deep throw. And then Tucson rallied back, got it to the 2-yard line, fumbled, and then the Rattlers scored another touchdown. But I just saw the resolve in this team. I know how the team prepared. I'm like, we're in this game still. And in the IFL, the game is never over. The game is never over. You could be down 3 touchdowns with 2 minutes to go, and the game is not over. So, just great job. Great job by Macias, our kicker.
Kevin Macias, the big hero.
Kevin Macias, great kick with a second to go, and Trip Harrington with 3 touchdowns. And Jorge Reyna, ladies and gentlemen, your Tucson Sugar Skulls have a quarterback. And if you got a quarterback, you got a chance.
No doubt. And Jorge and Trip Harrington, they were actually added after the second game of the season. And because, like you said, Ollie, the quarterback position, the Sugar Skulls struggled. They had more interceptions than touchdowns in the first couple of weeks. So they needed to get a true quarterback, a true facilitator, a guy that can lead the offense. And, when you look at Jorge Reyna's numbers, it's not like eyebrow raising, oh my gosh, except for one stat, interceptions. Man did not have one turnover in that game. Let me go ahead and knock on wood.
Yeah. Game Saturday, buddy.
But I was gonna say. The next thing you know, we're gonna be here on Monday. It's like Jorge Reyna, 3 interceptions.
By the way, Justin's unflappable when he's working.
Yep.
Yeah, because I walked by and he's interviewing Jorge Reyna with some other of his colleagues in the sports journalism world, and I messed up his hair and I kind of touched him in the cheek and stuff like that. Just rock solid resolve. Did not lose focus one iota.
You gotta walk by with a plate of lemon pepper wings.
Oh, so then I grabbed a young lady by the name of Danny, and I'm like, Danny, look, it's the Ed Sheeran good looking guy. And she's like, oh yeah. Still,
because she always says that. She always says that. He's like, yeah, Ollie, you do that show with that Ed Sheeran looking guy.
Yeah.
And then we're in the middle of a post game interview, doing that scrum afterwards. And Jorge's in the middle of like talking, and all of a sudden I just feel something like poke me, and I turn around, and Ollie's like, "Hey, look, it's Ed Sheeran." I'm like, I turn right around. I'm like, I'm going back to this interview.
Someone's in love with the shape of you.
You were recording, yeah.
They do, they really do.
But the next line has got some work to do.
But yeah, man, big win for the Tucson Sugar Skulls. It was the third win over the Rattlers in franchise history since Tucson was added to the IFL in 2019. And the Sugar Skulls needed that win, because they were 1-3 going into this last week. And last week's game against San Diego, half the team was sick, and they were trying to overcome that. And I think this game against the Rattlers, they showed a lot of mental fortitude. They showed a lot of toughness. And Billy Back likes this group a lot, and he loves the defense. And I thought the defense came up with a couple of critical stops late, gave the offense an opportunity to win that game, and they did. So I think all in all, a statement game for the Tucson Sugar Skulls, and now they're back home against Massachusetts.
And the previously undefeated Rattlers are now defeated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got that 1L, Kevin guy.
Yeah, we got him. Me and Kathy got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I don't think me and Kathy have ever been happier over a win. And I'm going to say a little story that he's not listening. It's okay. I guess there's a Rattlers fan that is quite annoying. And and this person follows the team everywhere. And Kevin's one request was, please make sure that they don't have a seat right next to the bench. And I turned to Kathy and I said, make sure that person has a seat right next to the bench.
I think it's the group that wore the fur minks.
Diabolical. Rattlers got a good fan base, man.
They do.
They travel with them. And, I actually talked to a few after the game, thanked them for coming down. And, for a rivalry game, crowds, how they can get, very, very respectful interaction between Rattlers and Sugar Skulls fan, which is the way we are, man, all class. So anyway, all the way around, it's one of those games. hopefully further in the season, we look back on and be like, you know what? That was the spark. That's when it all started. So
I hope.
let's just keep going and let's get the win. Mother's Day theme on this Saturday at the Tucson Convention Center, aka Boneyard. So moms are going to get a nice gift when they come in. So bring your wife, your girlfriend who's a baby mama, whatever.
Bring your baby mama.
Yeah, bring your
hey,
baby
if you got some
mama.
beef with your baby mama and you're looking immense offenses,
Yeah. Get her some tickets for her and a new boyfriend. Whatever. Whatever. Let the mothers be honored on Saturday at the Tucson Convention Center.
how did you guys work it out? I took her to a Sugar Skulls game.
Yeah.
How about that? All right. In addition to the Tucson Sugar Skulls getting their huge win of the season, hopefully there's many more for Tucson. It was also a big weekend for the University of Arizona. I mean, let's talk about the baseball team real quick. They did drop the season finale yesterday at High Corbett Field, but they won the series.
Yeah.
Which really helps them for positioning in the Big 12.
They finish third in the Big 12?
I believe. Oh, no, they still got some games left.
I thought you said season finale. That's why I was confused.
No, the series finale.
Series finale.
Gotcha. Sorry if I said season.
That's okay.
Series finale.
Just clarifying, buddy.
On Sunday. So, but they did beat TCU in that series. And TCU, they got a really good pitching staff, really good baseball team. So, despite not getting the sweep, they still won the series. Arizona baseball is in a really good spot right now. And then how about the men's tennis program winning their 11th consecutive match and beating your alma mater, University of Denver. Well, Arizona is also your alma mater too. So
Arizona is my alma mater. I went to law school at Denver.
So you're the two schools that Ali Farhang went to, battled it out in that first round. Arizona beat Denver, and then they beat Harvard by going to the Sweet 16.
That's big win.
Huge win.
That's big win against Harvard. So I'm looking at the brackets. I'm thinking there's a Columbia rematch coming.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope. So yeah, big win for Arizona men's tennis. Unfortunately, we won't see Colton Smith play at Linnell Robson Tennis Center moving forward. He played his last match there, but man, what a career for Colton Smith, and hopefully he could take Arizona to the promised land by advancing far, because they haven't gotten past the Sweet 16. That's kind of the one hurdle that Clancy Shields needs to get over during his time at Arizona. But
you can say that about another sport too.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're working on it. I've already got my hotel planned. I got it for Airbnb.
Is the coach of that sport, does his name rhyme with Shmami Boyd?
I don't know if that works, but I do know it's been suggested he has a 2-man shower.
Oh yeah, according to Mark Weistrek.
Yeah, exactly.
And
God,
also,
I hate the Sweet 16.
It's that hump, man.
Yeah.
Got to get over it. Also, speaking of Arizona basketball, big time commitment. Mabil Muwat, originally from Sudan, becoming the latest Sudanese player to play for Arizona men's basketball. Umar Ballo was the last one, and before him it was Mohamed Tangera. And this guy, probably more of like a project player.
Totally developmental guy. A lot of tools.
17 years old, right?
Yeah. A total developmental guy. And, Tommy Lloyd from a roster and the coaching staff, roster construction wise, man, you got some veterans, you got some 5-stars, you got some guys that can contribute, come off the bench potentially. Guy like Evan Nelson. And then you got guys that are developmental that maybe can be here for a couple of years and, build for the future. So I love what Arizona basketball is doing this offseason.
This is the backup plan for Carter Bryant, no? No? Okay. I thought maybe they were adding some depth just in case Carter Bryant decides to go to the NBA.
A mutually exclusive signing. This guy is definitely a guy that we're going to have. He's going to redshirt. We're going to develop him over the year. And you know what? Tommy Lloyd's known for a lot of good things from a coaching basketball perspective, but probably at the top of that list is developing big guys. So it's good.
All right. If you want to talk Arizona basketball with us, hit us up at 719-1490, 719-1490. What do you think about the roster that Tommy Lloyd and company is assembling? Also, speaking of Arizona basketball, little surprised by this. Caleb Love not invited to the NBA draft combine. He was invited to the G League combine, and I think if he does well there, he could receive an invitation. But I'm like, not an invite straight up. That's kind of surprising, considering this guy was an All-American in college and backed it up too. Was one of the best guards in all of college basketball. For him not to be one of the guys at the NBA draft combine. A little surprising, but I think he's going to stand out.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid. I mean, if you had a draft of, the top 60 players in college basketball last year because you wanted to play one game, Caleb Love's in that draft, man.
100%.
He's in that draft. I don't know. Maybe teams are going to make the same mistake they make with like a guy like Pella Larson, with a TJ McConnell, with a Peyton Pritchard. There's guys that can play, but they're older. They're like 22. It's like, oh, they're so old. That's what I think of when I think of 22-year-olds. You've tapped your potential.
Yep.
And we already know what you're going to be the rest of your life and career. So, yeah, you're going to go draft some dude from places unknown, and we're never going to hear from him again. But a guy like Caleb Love, I'm telling you right now, he is going to play in the league. There is a place for a guy like Caleb Love in the league. I mean, look at Buddy Hield last night. You can't tell me Caleb Love can't play a Buddy Hield role. I
100%.
disagree. Yes, he can. And if you think otherwise, you are incorrect, sir. So I got high hopes for Caleb Love going into his next phase of his chapter of career.
He could go to the North Arizona Wildcats, a.k.a. the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah. Hey, man, TJ McConnell and Ben Mathurin played really well yesterday against the Cavs.
That block by Ben Mathurin
Yeah.
on DeAndre Hunter, the way he just elevated and blocked the shot, man. I love to see Ben in his NBA career, the way it's, I wouldn't say unraveling, but just the way it's developing over time.
Unraveling is a bad word.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Developing. You know what, though?
Unfolding.
For any of you out there that maybe not the biggest NBA fans and you're like, oh, they don't play hard or all this other stuff that you think, Ben Mathurin is your kind of player. That guy goes out and plays at 1,000 miles an hour and gives it everything he's got, and he's got the right attitude every second he's in the game. So if you're an old school basketball guy, or you're a, NBA, I just don't know, watch Ben Mathurin play. Maybe reinvigorate your affection for the game.
All right, and one last thing before we go to our commercial break here. We were talking about how it was a great weekend for the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona track and field wrapped up their home schedule over the weekend. And then Arizona softball, they put a bow on their regular season with a sweep over Houston. And, man, I was counting up the runs that they've scored on the road in Big 12 play this year. And they have been so dominant on the road.
Yeah, you had a few minutes to yourself, didn't you?
Huh?
I said you had a few
minutes.
It's like I'm going to go down and count all the runs they've scored all season long on the road in the Big 12.
Yeah.
That's a guy looking for storylines. You're like the Inspector Clouseau of sports storylines.
I am, man. I got to dig. Like, oh, what do we have here?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Inspector Clouseau of sports journalism.
Yeah.
Dude, I think I finally nailed something good for Justin.
And winning the bet is the Pink Panther.
Actually, him on his computer, like looking up stats, the Pink Panther song's got to play in the background.
Yeah.
Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
Well, you guys will appreciate this. So they had 4 series in Big 12 play on the road, and they went 10-2 in those games. They outscored their opponents 91-28 in those games. They are so dominant on the road, and they took care of business against the Houston Cougars yesterday. And now they are 43-10 on the season. It's the season under head coach Taylor. Secure the number 2 seed in the Big 12 softball tournament, which will take place this weekend, starting on Wednesday.
Starting on Wednesday.
And then that's like the play-in games. And since Arizona, they're the 2 seed, they automatically go to the quarterfinals.
Who's the 1 seed?
Texas Tech.
Yeah,
that checks out.
So as the 2 seed, does Arizona, you think, have to win the Big 12 tournament to host a regional here? Or do you think it's if they just get to the finals or quarterfinals, they're good?
I think if they get to the quarterfinal, or no, they're already in the quarterfinals. I think if they get to the either the semis or the finals, they should be good. If they win one, they should be all right. Because right now they're currently ranked number 13th in the country.
Yeah.
You got to be in the top 16 to get that regional. So I feel pretty good about themselves, but
and
I feel like
the stadium too, which is something that the NCAA looks at.
Yeah,
totally.
Who covers the softball team for Arizona Daily Star?
That would be yours truly.
Seriously?
Well, it's kind of a team effort right now.
Yeah.
So no, we have James Kelly, who's a freelancer, does a great job covering them. He goes to all the home games, and then yesterday we collaborated on a story to kind of wrap up the series and also look ahead to the Big 12 tournament. So
I just feel like
I pitch in from time to time.
And I'm including myself in this, have not talked enough about this softball team. Like when Devin Netz does something, we're like, oh, Devin Netz, no hitter. She hit another home run. We do that.
So she got drafted over the weekend too.
Got drafted, yeah,
to the Bandits.
But
AUSL,
I just feel like this team is national championship potential.
It's got it in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So all right. So now we talked a little bit more about them.
Absolutely.
There we go. Mission accomplished.
Well, no, they have great pitching, like you said, Ali, and Devin Netz is kind of a unicorn. Like
Yeah.
she's really good at the plate, also in the circle too. And Dakota Kennedy out there at left field as a Gold Glove award winner. They have the pitching depth. Like they have the team to do it. I just think it all depends on matchups. Texas Tech is a hard team. If they can avoid Texas Tech as much as possible, they're going to be in pretty good shape. But yeah, I like where this Arizona softball team is at right now. Also, that AUSL draft that took place,
Athletes Unlimited Softball League or something like that.
Devin Netz, that is correct, Andrew. And Devin Netz was the only Big 12 player selected in that draft. It's a 4-team league. Softball's trying to grow professionally here in the United States. And Jenny Finch is like a senior advisor for the league. Jenny Dalton Hill, former Arizona Wildcat, is the general manager of the Bandits. And of course, she drafted Devin Netz. And then Taylor McQuillan, former Arizona pitcher, is also on that team too. And it's their inaugural season, and they're going to travel to like 6 to 8 cities. And then next year, they're going to have each team will have its own city.
So coming up on the other side of the break, I'm going to talk about Tucson is awesome, and so many good things are happening. I'm going to talk about something else that happened that we didn't even have enough time to touch upon.
All right, well, let's talk about it on the other side. Stay tuned.
So, yeah, one thing we didn't touch upon, and Tucson's awesome. A lot of great things happened at University of Arizona. Tucson Sugar Skulls, huge win over the Rattlers Saturday. And then the NJCAA, Pima College men's baseball team is going to the championship game.
How about that? Shout out to Ken Hockamy.
I don't know who they're playing, but because those other two teams were playing, but I think they beat Paradise Valley, if I remember correctly, 4-3. So good job, Aztecs and Pima College. Man, we talk about University of Arizona, a lot of great things happening in the athletic department. I mean, how many times have we talked about, Coach Holthouse and the women's basketball team, Coach Peabody and the men's basketball team, and now baseball. I mean, just extraordinary success for Pima College athletics. So congratulations, Pima.
Looks like they're playing South Mountain Community College,
All right.
by the way.
Hell yeah. And Ken Hockamy has done a great job, not just as Pima's baseball coach, but also their athletic director too. He's been the AD, taking over for Jim Monaco over the last couple of years. And Ken's a good dude. And, if you start to notice in the last few years, there have been a couple of Pima baseball players that have come through the University of Arizona baseball program too. So that has kind of really turned into a pipeline for the U of A, which wasn't really the case over the years. And so, but now Pima baseball has gotten to a point now where they're producing Division I players on a yearly basis. So,
and Smart, I mean, they're right here. And so Smart by Chip Hale, where you've got Ken Hockamy putting together really elite junior college rosters that are competing for championships. I mean, you would be negligent not to look at the roster and see, because there's dudes that can play. And, people go different routes, and with the transfer portal and, things happening in college athletics, getting recruited out of high school is not as easy as it was. So if you're a smart coach, you're going to be looking a little closer at those JUCO ranks, because there's going to be a lot of kids that go from high school and totally overlooked, or there's not a spot because, there's just a free agency every year in college athletics.
And guys sometimes turn into late bloomers, and all of a sudden, boom, they're this great baseball player. It's one classic example of a guy that got kind of overlooked, but he wasn't really like that much of a great player coming out of high school. It was your guy playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Nick Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Nick, it was really under recruited. I mean, was kind of getting some attention from JUCOs, and then New Mexico State was really the only one. I was like, okay, come as a walk-on, and if you show out as a freshman, then we'll give you a scholarship. And Nick goes to New Mexico State, becomes one of the top players in all of college baseball. And we've asked the Arizona coaches, it's like, what happened with his recruitment? And they would be the first ones to tell you, like, we thought he was a good player, but like he wasn't that good. And then all of a sudden he turned out to be a damn good player. A guy can go to a place like a New Mexico State, or even at the junior college level too. Like so many great players have played at the JUCO level, including Albert Pujols. Yeah. So there are diamonds in the rough at that level too.
Yeah, there's good players everywhere. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday about the fact that, even for me, a guy that's been around and loved football, I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of players at the IFL level. I mean, those guys they're not that far from being in the NFL. I mean, you got like a starting offensive line that averages 6'5", 310, right? I mean, you've got receivers that are multi-talented. I mean, it's that sometimes guys just develop it differently.
Yeah.
Everybody develops differently. So excellent points by you, Justin. And really I was very happy for Coach Hakami and Pima College when I saw that they're in the championship game. They've had a hell of a year.
Hell yeah.
It looks like you can watch the game off of the South Mountain Community College website as well.
On in 3 days, right? On Wednesday?
Thursday
at 2 p.m.
Yep.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Go
Game
Aztecs.
1. And then Friday at 2.
Also, who's a very happy coach right now? Brent Brennan, the Arizona football coach, and tight ends coach Josh Miller. Because late last night, it was reported that the Wildcats are getting Kean Burnett back. Kean Burnett, who decided to go to Lawrence, Kansas, and play for the Kansas Jayhawks after last season. Well, his, let's just call it an internship. His internship in Lawrence, Kansas is done.
His spring internship.
And now he's coming back to Arizona. The transfer portal is so weird. I mean, we saw it with Tia Savea, the defensive tackle, who played 2 years at Arizona, then decided to follow Johnny Nansen to Texas. Things didn't work out. Only played 4 games, was able to redshirt and preserve that extra year of eligibility, and decides to come back to Arizona. Kean Burnett, I mean, he didn't actually play an entire season. Kean just said, I'm going to go see what's what in Lawrence. Let me go play for the Kansas Jayhawks for the spring. And he decided, I think it's best for me to come back. And honestly, I'm excited for this because I think the injuries that he was dealing with last year, dealing with like a back injury, and then kind of the way that the scheme was, we didn't really see Kean Burnett live out or play to his true potential. Because when we saw him in the spring and also preseason training camp, I mean, he was one of Arizona's top offensive weapons. Like, he looked like he was going to be the number 2 guy next to Tetairoa McMillan as far as pass catchers go. And then the injuries, the offensive scheme, we didn't see Kean Burnett play out to his potential. He did have a big-time moment in that game against Utah, caught the game-sealing touchdown there towards the end. But we didn't see Kean Burnett be that guy. And maybe with the new scheme under Seth Doege, and Doege said going into the offseason, Arizona needs some tight ends. So maybe this is a match made in heaven, and Kean Burnett, we could finally see him be that 4-star prospect that we saw come to Arizona.
That would be great, man. I mean, if you told me, okay, give me the 2 highlights of last season of football. You got T-Mac's game against New Mexico, and then Kean Burnett's catch against Utah. Those are the first 2 things that come to mind. Kid is super talented, and if he can stay healthy with Seth Doege's offense, I agree with you, man. He could have a big year. And I know exactly how it went down with his, what you call internship in Lawrence, Kansas. So he went in the transfer portal in December, flew into Lawrence, Kansas in January. It was 3 degrees. He looked at the plains of Kansas and goes, nah. Then got back on the plane. And I'm going back to Tucson.
Clicked his heels together.
Yeah. Nah, man.
We ain't doing this. No way. No way.
Here's your money back.
Yeah.
I had $10 just for the trouble.
Yeah. For interest. But his dad, Chester Burnett, was an all Pac-10 linebacker, played for Dick Tomey in that Desert Swarm defense. So, in addition to his buddies playing here, he was high school teammates with Noah Fafita and Tetairoa McMillan and Jacob Manu. in addition to Noah being here and also, his dad having history here, he loves the University of Arizona. He wants to be here. Unfortunately, it didn't work out there towards the end, but they got a new tight ends coach. It's a new offense. And without giving up too many secrets, I did notice Arizona utilized 13 personnel. And for the folks that are not football nerds, that means 3 tight ends. And I got to say, man, a 3 tight end set, along with the spread offense that Seth Dagey is going to implement, it got me pretty giddy. Got me excited about the potential and the creativity of Arizona's offense, which we didn't see last year.
I mean, somewhere Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, just peed himself listening to you about 13 personnel. And the thing about it is, when you got a guy like Keon Burnett, like when you get into 13 personnel, the defense has to adjust its personnel, and you got to bring bigger guys in there. But if you got a guy like Keon Burnett, and then you can now put him out wide, or you can kind of adjust. Now you got a mismatch. So Seth Dagey's got a lot of tools to work with. Added one huge one in Keon Burnett. Good pickup.
All right, let's continue this foosball conversation with our next guest. His name is Trip Harrington. He scored 3 touchdowns for the Tucson Sugar Skulls in their big win over the Arizona Rattlers. Could be the IFL Offensive Player of the Week. He definitely deserves it. But we're going to talk to Trip about the big win and the upcoming game against Massachusetts coming up next. What's up, Trip? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
So
we got to call him Slash like Cordell Stewart, right?
Right.
Trip Harrington Slash of the Tucson Sugar Skulls.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So Trip, take us through, what that feeling was like as soon as the clock's hit 0 and you guys beat the defending IFL champs and the undefeated Arizona Rattlers. I mean, that was a statement victory for you guys. What do you guys think that you showed in that game on Saturday?
I think we showed that we can compete with anybody. Obviously, this is a new group. This wasn't the group that we had at the beginning of the season. We only been together 3 games now, so I really think that we just showed that we can compete with anybody, and that the sky's the limit for this squad.
And you came in as a quarterback, but you've been playing wide receiver. You can also, you've been the holder too on field goal. When the Sugar Skulls reached out to you, what were the conversations like, and what did they tell you just in regards to your role and what you were going to do with the team?
Well, Coach Beck, he's been actually trying to get me on the team with him for multiple years, and we finally got together. When he called me, I was excited because I knew my role would be bigger. I wasn't sure if I was going to play quarterback or receiver, but I knew that I could do both. So I was willing to just do whatever the team needed me to do to help us win.
Trip, when you came here, you said this group's been together for 3 weeks, and I know there was a kind of a rash of illness in San Diego, but then you guys come back with this big win against the Rattlers. Do you feel like this team, like as you've been together now over a longer period of time, you think things are coming together? You guys are coming together, and this win, it could really kind of, bounce you into really great things the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Like just getting the practice reps. Like the first week, we were just meeting each other. The second week, we had a little bit of an illness going through the offense, so that happened. And then this past week, we had a great week of practice, and then preparing film study, and then just getting extra work in. So I think now we got everything rolling, and I think we're going to be good for the rest of the season.
Considering, you're a quarterback, you come from a quarterback background, what do you think playing wide receiver and playing all these other positions can really help you as far as, getting a spot, whether it's with the UFL or even the NFL?
From what my understanding is, the more that you can do, they look at that stuff. So, playing receiver, playing quarterback, if they need me to move the defense, that just because I can play both positions, I can probably play DB too. But I think just being a Swiss Army knife, like you guys said, that helps. I think, and hopefully I do get a call one day.
And you came in a few weeks ago with Jorge Reyna, who's been the team's starting quarterback. And I think it's pretty unique that you guys came in as a tandem. what has that relationship been like, and how do you guys just affect the offense when you guys are working together?
Yeah, Raina, he's great. That's my guy. When we first met, we hit it off. We watch film together. We go out to eat. Just building that connection. I think that's why we got a strong connection. Also, me playing quarterback, I can help him. I know where to sit in the zone. I know where to be on the field, and it just works.
I noticed a handful of the Sugar Skulls teammates called him a sick ass fool. Is that what you guys call him?
I don't know. I've never heard them call that.
Okay.
I've never heard them call him that.
That's Spears trying to start stuff now. It's just so you know.
No, we were in the middle of the interview, and all of a sudden, like 4 or 5 of the Sugar Skulls players were just like whistling, like, shh, shh, shh. That's a sick ass fool right there. Yeah. I was like, I didn't know.
I think it's because he was sick last week, so he was like, on his hospital bed. So I think that's where that came from. I didn't hear that though.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, Tripp, I saw you went to school in Oklahoma at Langston University. I think you've been in North Carolina, Dallas. Man, I love Tucson. I'm proud of our city. How's it been for you in Tucson since you've been here?
It's actually pretty similar to North Carolina where I'm from. Like it's it's pretty chill out here. Not too much city life, and something that I'm used to. I like it out here.
And you mentioned your connection with Coach Billy Back. When did you, I guess, first hear about Coach Back, and what kind of coach is he?
First heard about him, playing for the Frisco Fighters last year, and then we played when I was with the Fighters. We played them in the middle of the season. We played Tucson in the middle of the season last year, and then we had a conversation. He was just telling me, like, you're a great athlete, great player. You can be a starter in this league. And then we had those conversations. And then leading up to this year, we had the same conversation. And then now we're here. And then as a coach, he's just, he's a great guy. Yeah, he's always looking out for me, looking out for our players, and just making sure we're all okay. And then he's just a great leader. I love him.
So you grew up in Wendell, North Carolina. What was your hometown like? Take us through your upbringing and just kind of the things you did as a kid.
Well, I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Wendell is where I went to school at. But, I just lived a, simple life. Just grew up playing football. I've been playing since I was 7. Like high school, high school was pretty good. I actually played receiver my sophomore year, and then I played quarterback my junior and senior year. And so it's just like Tucson, like I said, it's just a small town. People love football there. Really, it's really a basketball state, but I made my town a football town. So
Heck yeah. And your first name is Larry, but you go by Tripp. How did that start? Why do you go by Tripp?
So my dad is a junior, so I'm a third. So it's triple, and then he just added a P, so it's Tripp, and added a P to the end.
That's awesome, man.
I just thought after you dusted your opponent on the field with some sort of juke move, they'd be tripping.
Everyone's tripping against Tripp.
Yeah. Slash, man. Slash. He's like quarterback slash receiver slash holder, and now we just found out slash can play DB.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Lastly, for us, Tripp, you got a big game coming up here against the Massachusetts Pirates. How do you use this game against the Rattlers to carry momentum for this upcoming game, and how do you just look at the rest of the season?
We just do what we been doing since we got here. Keep doing film study. Don't get complacent. Yes, it was a big win, but it's a long season. We got bigger goals. We're not just trying to beat the best team. We're trying to go to the playoffs and then hopefully win a championship. So we just got to keep stacking days and then just win the next game.
And then this weekend is Mother's Day. Take us through the relationship you have with your mom and what she means to you.
Yeah, I'm a mama's boy, actually. So you already know how that goes. Definitely gotta. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get her out here, but I'm definitely gonna, send her some flowers, send her whatever else.
Hell yeah, man.
Whatever else you need. Yeah.
All right, so we got a trip of mama's boys right now on this show.
Absolutely,
because
man.
me and you, Tripp, we're mama's boys too, man. So
I love it. I love it.
We already know we can be best friends. You already know.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Tripp, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, man. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this weekend against Massachusetts.
Man, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tripp.
Awesome win, man.
Big win.
Yeah, he's a great player. We're lucky we got him. So that was Coach Back. That transaction at the beginning of the year with Jorge Reyna and Tripp Harrington, absolutely immense for the future success of the Tucson Sugar Skulls.
Big game against the Massachusetts Pirates. Get your tickets today by going to TucsonSugarSkulls.com. Stick around. More Spears and Ali coming up next.
Did you guys both watch the Rockets Golden State last night?
I did.
Did you watch? Watch none of it?
No, I was watching hockey.
Fair enough. Unbelievable finish by Winnipeg.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Tied it with like less than 2 seconds left.
Less than 2 seconds left, and then rallied back in double overtime.
Man,
what a game!
How about Winnipeg?
So I'm like watching, and I'm like, man, something is just off, and I just can't put my finger on it. And my brother Amir sends a text that the Rockets unis are sick, and I'm like, that's what it is. Did their jerseys say H-Gown?
Oh, H-Town.
I know, but it looked like H-Gown.
H-Gown.
If you look at the jerseys, I'm like, what am I missing here? I'm like, these jerseys, that T looks like a G. Is it H-Gown?
Those are cool jerseys, though.
Well, it makes sense if it was H-Gown because their offensive effort last night was absolutely
oh my God, it totally
sick.
Does look like H-Gown.
It's H-Gown.
That's H-Gown.
The way it's curved at the bottom. Who curves your T's like that?
If I didn't tell you that was the Rockets jersey, you would say, what team goes by H-Gown?
H-Gown.
Is that the new Georgetown Hoyas? I don't know.
Really bad.
Honestly, I would have guessed that's like a Chinese league basketball team.
Yeah.
Those are the Guangdong Tigers alternates.
Man, the Guangdong Tigers.
That's a real team.
Yeah, that's a real team.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. You never heard.
Yeah, Justin's not just being insensitive.
No, I'm serious. The Guangdong Tigers.
Oh, well, anyway.
When they're like, inside the NBA, they played a game called Who He Play For.
Yeah.
Because Charles Barkley predominantly would say, who he play for? And they would list like random players. And then Shaq just one day said, the Guangdong Tigers. And he got it right. And he just started saying, ni hao, ni hao. But yes, I honestly, I would have thought that was the Guangdong Tigers alternates.
Are we violating any tariff laws by talking about anything from
I
China right now?
I don't think we are.
Probably should stop.
I don't think we are.
Anyway.
We do have to charge our listeners 145% more.
Yeah. Anyway, great defensive effort, but terrible on offense. H-Gown Rockets.
My something that is kind of new developing this morning that I was like, man, that's kind of bad. I got a ring alert. I don't know if you got a ring at your house.
No.
Like when someone comes up, you have the camera and it gives you the notification.
Yeah.
Well, every now and again, there's like this community push alert in Tucson, Arizona, and you get like random alerts like, oh, did anyone lose a dog? I had this dog on Thornydale or whatever. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. It doesn't really spark my interest. And then all of a sudden this morning, I get a push alert from Ring saying, who's egging houses? My house was egged at 11 p.m. last night. And I'm like,
oh, the world is healing.
Egging houses in this economy? Like we're buying eggs and throwing them at houses when, nah, man, we got to keep those eggs.
That's white collar crime now.
No kidding. No kidding. That is commitment to the bit. Yeah. Like you're willing to shell out that much money to get some eggs and throw them at houses.
There is a like the sentencing, the guidelines. If you commit a crime and it's over a certain monetary amount, the punishment and the crime raises. So now with eggs, it's from a misdemeanor to a second-class degree felony.
Class 2.
Yeah, because it's a crime involving damage to over $1,000, right? So now we have a class 2 felony, even though the damage, you're doing it yourself to the eggs. A little nuance to the law there.
This is why he gets the big bucks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about the legendary career of Greg Popovich, who is no longer the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs after 29 seasons and 5 championships with the franchise. And also after, dealing with some health issues as well. He endured a stroke last season and had to sit out for the remainder of the NBA season. Well, now he's moving into more of a front office role. He's going to be with the team as a president. So he's still going to be with the organization. He's just not going to be on the sidelines coaching the Spurs. But man, Greg Popovich, like when you think about some of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, he's right up there at the top of the list. Like I said, 5 championships, 1,422 wins, which is the most of all time in NBA history. Coached a number of Hall of Fame players, including the Admiral David Robinson, and then went on to coach, one of the best dynasties in NBA history with the San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. And they went, I think, nearly a decade without winning in between their last 2 championships. They won in 2005 and then won again in 2014 with that same nucleus.
Yeah.
Think about like how cool that was. Of course, they had a young buck named Kawhi Leonard who did some damage against LeBron James in that finals, but
nobody remembers that in that, what was it, 2016 Sweet 16 where Arizona beat Duke?
Or 20, you're talking about with Derek Williams?
Derek Williams, yeah.
2011.
Didn't we beat San Diego State before that with Kawhi Leonard?
That is true.
Yeah.
No. That they played Texas in the round of 32, and they beat Memphis.
We beat San Diego State with Kawhi Leonard, and then maybe we lost to Wisconsin. Maybe
that's what it was.
1 year we beat Kawhi Leonard.
No, because it was you're thinking of Diamond Head Classic,
okay,
with Nick Johnson down Christmas.
Yeah,
out there in Hawaii.
Now Kawhi Leonard didn't used to be able to shoot in college. He actually developed that over time, and it talks about like Greg Popovich is a great coach, but sometimes luck plays a role in it because the year they drafted Tim Duncan and got the number 1 pick, they still had David Robinson, but he got injured and a bunch of other guys got injured, and they had like one of the worst records in the league. They were basically playing a G League team. And then they got the first pick, and as David Robinson got healthy, it was Robinson and Tim Duncan. And it's like, okay, now we're cooking. And then you draft a Manu Ginobili, you get a Tony Parker. I think they got Tony Parker in the second round.
Yeah.
So that was they
had an eye for talent for sure.
A solid organization, the San Antonio Spurs, for a number of years. And now with Wemby, again, I mean, I know it's in sleepy San Antonio with the big old women, but
and churros,
and churros, but San Antonio, I mean, they've had some down years, but like if you talk about the last 2 decades, San Antonio, they're up there as far as one of the most successful franchises in the NBA. And
it wasn't the prettiest brand of basketball. It wasn't super flashy, but it was like
YMCA.
It was fundamentals, man. Someone compared, those ice cream sandwiches that the food and it's always food, man. Yeah. But like the traditional ice cream sandwiches where it's got like the brownish blackish breading, I guess, and it's vanilla ice cream in the middle. Oh, someone compared that.
I mean, an ice cream sandwich,
just a normal ice cream sandwich. Okay. Sometimes people think, oh, like the Toll House ones. No. The just generic ice cream sandwich.
Surfboards out here.
Exactly. Someone compared that. That's like the Tim Duncan of ice cream. Not sexy, nothing flashy, but always shows up and is always on time. But yeah, I think that the San Antonio Spurs franchise, like I said, it will never be remembered as, I guess, the super lavish, flashy Los Angeles Lakers, or I mean, just a pure dynasty that was the Boston Celtics when they reigned supreme in the early history of the NBA,
or even Golden State.
Right? Yeah,
you got Steph Curry, and the year with Kevin Durant. I mean,
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah,
but
they're kind of. I mean, they're just. Again, I don't like to do the comparison, but as far as like great champions, like I said, of the last 2 decades, San Antonio a little underrated, not talked about enough. It's a great organization, and with Greg Popovich in the front office, they're going to still be very smart and astute in player acquisition and player development. Man, watch out for. I mean, the West is going to be crazy. I mean, the Lakers better get to work because I got a feeling San Antonio is going to make a move this offseason.
And Houston. The 2 Texas teams, man. Or shoot, don't sleep on the Mavericks either. Nico Harrison might have something up his sleeve.
No, I'm in a dead REM 3 sleep on the Mavericks. But with REM Houston 3 losing, and if somehow someone can upend Oklahoma City, those teams both have so much draft capital and so much talent. They can make a move and get one of those Giannis Antetokounmpo type players. I mean, I think Jalen Green with Houston played his last game for the Rockets last night. I mean, I really think that the Rockets are either going to have Kevin Durant or Giannis next year. I think it's absolutely going to happen. And San Antonio is going to go for Giannis too.
Man, that's a lot of letters on the back of a jersey in the front court. Wembanyama and Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Spears and Ali back on ESPN Tucson and the Spears and Ali podcast. So we were just talking about Greg Popovich retiring after a very successful tenure with the San Antonio Spurs, winning 5 NBA championships, also producing the most wins in NBA history as a head coach. One of, if not the greatest to ever do it at the NBA level. And, we talked about how he has an eye for talent. Like when he got Kawhi Leonard to go to the San Antonio Spurs, the Indiana Pacers actually drafted Kawhi Leonard and then traded him to, can you imagine if they had Kawhi Leonard with Paul George or Roy Hibbert and all those guys?
I did not recall that. Do you remember what they traded for? I don't.
I don't know what the Pacers got in return. Oh, it might have been like George Hill.
That sounds right.
Or something like that.
George Hill.
It was George Hill.
It was like George. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right.
And George Hill's like, he's good, but
come on. I mean, when Kawhi Leonard was playing, and well, he's always been aloof. When he was playing, I mean, Kawhi Leonard was. I mean, he still is pretty great. And he had a good run, except for Game 7 against the Nuggets. That was one where Indiana's like, what is it?
It was George Hill.
Here's what you call that trade if you're an Indiana Pacer. Oof. That's an oof trade.
Oof trade.
Yeah, like Charlotte and Kobe.
But the eye for talent that Greg Popovich and the Spurs had, there's something to be said about that. And as much as it pains me to talk about the Boston Celtics and the great players that they have, we saw Derek White play at Colorado, and Derek White was a good player. Did I think he would be the NBA player that he is now? No. But Greg Popovich saw something in him, and Derek White recently talked about Greg Popovich and how much he has meant to his career. Hearing one of the greatest basketball minds of all time tell you belong, sure instilled a lot of confidence in Derek White. And I just think, hearing stuff like that is what made Greg Popovich such a great coach.
Yeah. And you can understand that, right? It resonates with you, because wasn't there a day that Greg Hansen looked at you and said, "You belong, kid"?
You belong. Yeah. Honestly, you're not wrong. You're not far off, because there was one day we were sitting in a press conference before when Rich Rodriguez was the coach at Arizona. It was just in the middle of the season, like 3rd week, 4th week, and just a typical week.
Greg asked you for a piece of paper.
And Greg looked at me and was like, "Justin, are you a Heisman voter?" "No." "Okay, well, you just became one." And then turned around, and that was how I became a Heisman voter. I was like, all right, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. That is a passing of a baton.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Greg Hansen, people got a lot of emotions, but he's like, I would say more people than not can't wait to read his Sunday notebook, and have done so for years. And I really love Greg. But when Greg Hansen turns around and says, here's my Heisman vote, it's you.
Well, he's like the governor, right? Each state has its own person that handles all the votes and all that. So there's a certain amount of votes in the state of Arizona. And I mean, Michael Lev has one, my great colleague at the Arizona Daily Star. There's some at the Arizona Republic, and now me.
Good. For
the last several years. And Greg Hansen was the reason for that. So yeah, shout out to the Gregs. Greg Popovich, Greg Hansen.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Gregs.
But I did want to talk about this, Ali. Now with Greg Popovich no longer being on the sidelines with the San Antonio Spurs, your head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, is now the longest tenured head coach in major North American sports. He is entering his 19th season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can't believe it's already been almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
With Mike Tomlin at the helm.
Without a losing season.
That is true. And one of the greatest head coaches in NFL history.
Yeah. We got work to do, though, man.
Plenty of work, right? He's not in the conversation with Bill Belichick and all that. I mean, Bill Belichick is certainly helping out his reputation right now. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, great football mind. Who's playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I asked Deontay Spencer last night, or yesterday at the James Conner camp. I'm like, can you play quarterback? Aaron Rodgers is playing quarterback for the Steelers. We're high on Will Howard. We'll see how that goes. Mason Rudolph is the backup, and then got a bunch of trade capital next year if we like a quarterback that's coming out. I've been told that Arch Manning is going to stay at Texas for 2 years. It's not coming out next year, which would be a bummer. But
wow, why is that?
I don't know.
I mean, you're draft eligible. You're going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
He's making good money.
He
likes college.
He's a Manning.
He likes college.
He's like, ooh, wait, Carolina might have the first pick. Nah, I'm good.
He wants to kick it with Sarkisian, man. They can rev Lamborghinis all summer.
I mean, if you're making seven figures and you're a college student starting quarterback at the University of Texas, life is good, Justin.
Yeah, I agree.
Life is good.
I agree.
It's like, congratulations, you are now on the Cleveland Browns. I think I'm going back into college. Yeah, I don't want to do that.